Life is precious, and we all have the opportunity of living it to the fullest. Unfortunately, so few of us know how to manage it all. How do we account for our opportunities? How do we account for our time? How do we account for our relationships, health, spirituality, homes, finances, influence, and careers? How do we account for the one life we have to live? I am so glad you asked. In this program, you will find answers to all of these questions and more. Welcome to the Account for Your Life podcast with your host, the healthy accountant himself, Jay Moore.
What's happening, everybody? I want to welcome you back to another episode of the Account for Your Life podcast. Jay Moore here, the healthy accountant, helping you to account for your life. Guys, today, here's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the discipline you and I need to win. See, many of us have desires. We have wants. We have we have things that we would like to accomplish, but the one thing that we're missing or could potentially be missing is discipline. So today we're going to talk about what discipline looks like. And you've got to decide today if you're going to make these last 120 days in 2022 count. So guys, I want to thank you for joining me. And look, here's who sponsored the program today. The Healthy Accountant. The Healthy Accountants created a world-class training platform for you, business owner, small business owner, so that you can avoid many tax mistakes that will cost you thousands of dollars. You can go to taxfreewealthchallenge.com so that you can take advantage of an almost free masterclass, multiple masterclass with tools that you can use that's valued over $5,000. So go ahead and head on over to the not the Healthy Accountant, but to taxfreewealthchallenge.com so you can pick that up. So guys, let's jump right into this. Discipline, the big D. So let me ask you a question. What's standing in the way of where you are and where you would like to be? So I recently watched a podcast with Tom Bilyeu and Eric Thomas, E.T. the hip hop preacher. And Tom Bilyeu, he promotes discipline, and E.T. they talked about discipline on this podcast. I mean, they talk about a lot of amazing things, but in that podcast, I took away that the difference between winners and people who may not win is discipline. And what is discipline? So I woke up this morning. Got about 6 o'clock, and I'm just kind of like making my way from where I'm at to into the day, and my mind is negotiating whether or not, I want you to think about this, whether or not I'm going to go running. My mind is negotiating whether or not I'm going to exercise, which you would think that a person who's been doing it over and over and over, you wouldn't have to negotiate, but for some reason. Look, when it comes to discipline, even the most successful, they have to choose. They have to choose discipline. They have to really, every morning, every day, they have to reignite. They have to reignite themselves. They're not going to stop doing what it is they do. ET's not going to stop waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, because basically what he said is that, hey, wait a second. What he discovered is that if he wakes up at 3 o'clock in the morning and he could take a nap in the afternoon if he needs to, but he wakes up at 3 o'clock in the morning, he could accomplish so much that it puts him in front of just about everybody on the planet. So if he's decided the way that he would win is to discipline him getting up in the morning. Look, 3 o'clock in the morning, you've got to, the discipline to wake up is not even the biggest problem. The discipline to go to bed at a certain time is a problem. Because when you consider you got to go to bed at a certain time just to be able to have a decent amount of sleep, because you're only getting 3 hours past 12. So how many hours will you get before 12? Look, that's a hard one. So I'm thinking E.T. got to go to bed like 9 o'clock. He's got to go to bed like 9. But what if he's traveling? What if he's doing all sorts of things? Then that means he's probably had many times when his life is off because of travel, because of engagements, where he could be going to bed 11 o'clock. But he still got to get up at 3. So the discipline, which here's the thing, at some point, you no longer negotiate. I'm sure E is at the point where he no longer negotiates that 3 o'clock. Now, and I'm being honest here. There was a negotiation with not I'm not going to do it, but the negotiation it came up. But the negotiation was, hey, you can go to the gym and you can just lift weights, or you can go to the gym, you can run the treadmill and lift weights, or you can go outside and run 3 miles. And part of me is like, man, I'm really going to run that 3 miles. But then I found something this morning. Actually, it wasn't this morning. I think it was yesterday or the day before I realized that I was going to change my routine. I said, because you know what? I know I can run longer than 3 miles. It's just that the terrain that I've been running is hilly. You know, I told somebody just recently. I said even the slightest, elevation change, I feel it at 50, going on 51. I can feel the elevation changes, and then when I got a hill that you got to run straight up I got to run straight up and down. Like that does something to, I'm thinking about it all the time. Like, man, it's not as easy to do those things. I said, well, I'd like to be able to just run the miles. How can I do that? There's a trail. There's a trail in my house, less than 5 minutes away. I can park my car. I can run the trail, and I can easily do 3 miles. Today I ran 4 miles. I could have ran 6 if I wanted, but I didn't have the time. I said, man, because I got to get back to do the podcast. I said, so because I realized, I said, well, I don't have to. I said, I could easily run that 100 miles. So think about this. You ever made a goal and then you figured out a way to get to the goal faster? This month, I'm going to run over 100 miles. No, I'm saying that because, look, when it comes to discipline, when it comes to winning, you've got to find something that's going to help you to win. Let me ask you, what do you do every single day that's hard? I'm talking about painfully hard. Ask yourself, what am I doing? And then will me doing it every day, how's that going to affect my life? How's that going to affect my success? How's that going to help me get to a new level? See, you need discipline in order to get to the new level. So, I was recently thinking about money, like, hey, who doesn't want to earn a lot of money? But here's the thing. The thing about money is that money's available and you don't have to. Oh, E.T. and Tom Bilyeu, they talk about Tom actually talked about driving a race car and how when you drive a race car, they said you cannot look at the wall. Right? You cannot look at the wall because if you look at the wall, you're going to crash. So you have to look at where you're driving. I mean, you have to look at the curves, you got to look at the roads, you got to look at the other cars. Because if you look at the wall, you're going to crash. So if your desire is to go from this place to this place in your financial life, then that means that all you have to do is not look at it. Yes, don't look at it. What you do is you look at, it looks like I should do trainings. It looks like I should create different things that people would need, different PDFs. And looks like I should book more appointments, right? Looks like I should help people to realize that, hey, look at where you're bleeding in your business. And if I can do that, then it's by default that things would change financially. See, it's not as hard as you and I have been taught. We were taught, man, you got to work so hard to make $100,000 a year. You got to work so hard to make $1 million a year. You've got to work so hard. You got to work hard no matter what. If we can just realize that working hard comes with, like, you got to work at everything. You got to work at everything. Now, the thing is, will you discipline yourself to the right things? My good friend Jamie Potagen, he has a book. It's called The Face of Leadership. And in The Face of Leadership, there's a framework within The Face of Leadership called foresight. What is foresight? Think about before, like something like in front of you, sight. Foresight, it's in front. So when you think about where you're going, you got to have foresight so that when you're projecting yourself, like you're seeing yourself in a place that may not be physical right now. See, but that discipline to see it. See, I realize when you're not looking at what you're producing, then what happens is you don't realize what you're producing or what you're not producing. If I didn't track my miles, and I'm using this health-centered focus because I am the healthy accountant. I have to track that. If I did not track my miles, and I got to the end of the month, I would not have known how far I would not have known how far I ran. I would not have known if I got to the goal. I would not have known that I was closer. I wouldn't have had the slightest idea about like where I'm at. And ET talked about this on the podcast with Tom Bilyeu, Impact Theory. He says that what he likes to do is he likes to get people to realize where they are, because once he can get them to see where they are, right, and then get them into this state of, oh shoot, this is where I am, then he says he can help them to see where it is that they like to go, because they got to first realize where they are, and then got to first be able to articulate, well, okay, you're here right now, but where's it that you would like to go? He says once he can get a person there, then he can help them to shift. Where would you need to shift in your life? What disciplines would you need to shift in your life so that you can experience winning at a high level? See, ET also talked about something else. He talked about how a lot of people, and I used to be like this, we spend hours and hours and hours studying and watching all the professionals. They're winning their championships. They're getting their MVP trophies. We are spending all this time. He says, look, why don't you get something for that? Meaning, take what they do. Meaning, look, they practice. Those people that we love, the Kobe Bryants, the Michael Jordans, right? The LeBron James, those people that we love, the Steph Currys, we love them. All the football players, the Tom Brady's, right? Those people that we love, the Wayne Gretzky's. I remember back in the day, there was Reggie Jackson, you got Babe Ruth in the baseball, and just Tiger Woods. Those people that we love, that we can see they have discipline, like I had to put some emphasis there. They have disciplined themselves in such a way that it's inevitable that they put themselves in a position to win. See, winning is not guaranteed, because you never know who you're going to go up against. Mike Tyson can have a sermon about this right here. Mike Tyson could preach a sermon about how he stepped into the ring at the wrong time with the wrong person, with Buster Douglas. He stepped into the ring. Mike is at the height of his career, he's the man. He took Buster Douglas for bad. He was just like, man, I don't even got to train hard for this guy. I'm going to knock this dude out. And he had Buster Douglas at some point. He had him. And the week that Buster Douglas was going to fight Mike, his grandmother died. So Buster had more to prove. He says, look, I'm going to win. I'm going to the top. Nothing's going to stop me. Now, there's a time in your life when discipline goes out the window because of drive. Buster Douglas, now after that, he fell off. But Buster Douglas, that moment came and he had a drive. So Mike Tyson, even though he was the best, even though he had Buster at some point ready to go down, he knocked him down. He thought it was going to be over. And Buster got up. And the next thing you know, Mike is down. And he loses the fight. See, just because you're the best, see, that's the thing. You still got to train. Because you don't know who you're going to go up against. And see, Kobe Bryant knew that well. He made sure. I heard a story in Jason Williams wrote a book, and he talked about Kobe Bryant. And he talked about how Kobe Bryant was practicing. He'd gone to LA, he's preparing for the game. He's with the Chicago Bulls. He's like, yo, I got to get ready for the game. I'm playing against Kobe tonight. And when he gets there, Kobe's at the gym already. Kobe's shooting around. So he put up about 1,000 shots. And he put all these shots up and he's done. He's like, I'm good. And Kobe's still working out. And Jason leaves. And then they played the game and Kobe gave him work. And then at the end of the game, he said something to Kobe, and Kobe was like, look, there was nothing you could do. You got no chance of beating me. Think about where your mind has to be discipline-wise when you're developing the mindset of winning. I could talk about this for a long time, but I'm going to close here because I almost was about to bring up another story, from the book Winning. Tim Grover, the trainer of Michael Jordan and Kobe talked about, but I'm not going to go into him. But I'm just going to just close out right here. When you desire to win more than the pain that you'll experience, that's when you'll be successful. So ET talked about as well. ET talks about, when you decide that, breathing is more important, right? Hey, you want to breathe. So you're gonna have to breathe. Then you're gonna have to go through some stuff in your life before you win. But you have to decide that, you know what? I'm gonna discipline my actions in such a way that winning is guaranteed. Look, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Wayne Gretzky, Tiger Woods, Serena Williams, we can just go on and on. These people, whether they were talented, they became gifted. They became gifted because they put discipline first. When you put discipline first, when you fall in love with the fact that discipline will help you to win, that's when success is guaranteed. Yes, guaranteed is what I would call it today. So guys, decide today that winning is your objective, but decide today that you're not going to focus on winning. What you're going to focus on is the discipline, the hard stuff that it requires for you to get to your next level. So guys, I thank you so much for joining me for another episode of the Account for Life podcast. Jay Moore here, the Healthy Accountant, helping you to account for life. God bless, and I'll see you on the next episode. Peace.
Make it a great day.